Okay, greetings, everybody. Keith here, hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. We're coming to you today with some cancer treatment and how we beat the shit out of it. Now, I'm not completely overcome with the cancer. Um, it wasn't like stage 4 or anything like that. It was the first. I believe they said it was stage 2, and it had grown to stage 3 by one of the MRIs. But then after that, it started decreasing and became inactive. And it's still there. I'm still going through treatment, still doing my home regime. But the treatment I'm doing is not radiation or chemotherapy. It's known as immunotherapy. And you've seen the commercials on TV called Keytruda, and that's what we're talking about. And it's basically just a boost to the immune system. They're taking natural elements of your immune system and giving it a big boost. It's like the vitamin C. Vitamin C is one of those things that I do on the home regime, that I amped up the intake of vitamin C tremendously. I take currently 4,000 milligrams a day, and that's just one of them. But that's your vitamin C. We've known for a long time is a large component to your immune system, um, and that's one of the basic elements they do their research on. Um, when I was diagnosed with cancer, just over a year, actually it wasn't even a year ago, I went into the emergency room with pain in my shoulder, and at that time we just thought it was some nerve uh, components that were acting up because I'd taken on a job painting. And so I had a lot of this motion in my arm. And we thought that's what it was from. Come to find out, it kept getting worse and worse despite any pain medications or exercise for rehab or therapy. And so they did some more searching, and we found out I had lung cancer. The lung cancer itself was on the backside top part of the lung, and it was pushing right against the spine, and that's why there was pain. It was pushing against that nerve bundle, and so the more it was growing, the more it was pushing on that nerve. So once we finally figured out what it was, and I was able to start doing things on my own before I even got any treatment, um, it started residing. Um, and that was my own personal um, revelation that the true spirit of your life is to be healthy. And that term, as we've spoken on before, is not healthy, it's heal thy. And it's just in accordance with know thyself, heal thyself. So when you know yourself and what you need, then you can heal yourself. In our natural course, we can only do this by observing other animals and mimicking, or other people and mimicking. And so it's truly take on things that other people don't normally do that bring us to revelations like what I've got, even in the modern time. This is stuff that people should have known for a long time, and some people have, but it's been kept from us, or it's been lost, or things like that. And this is the public education system. The public education system is killing the living soul. It's killing the spirit of being able to be natural. And it's an indoctrination propaganda system to teach us how to all be the same. And that's what causes us to lose our diversity and make things so adverse. And so we have to really come out of that. And that's what those scriptures talk about when it says, come out of her. You got to come out of that fictional living and all of the BS that's being perpetrated upon your mind because you don't know. And that's why I say it, don't believe me, don't believe your neighbor, Don't believe your government, for crying out loud. Don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. And this goes in all aspects of life, particularly in your health, in healing thyself. And so today I'm bringing forth the stuff that I started incorporating before I got any kind of treatment from these people in the medical industry. And again, it's do your research. Some of this stuff is stuff that I've done research on in the past through my research history. So I already had a good comprehension of some of it, particularly the RSO, Rick Simpson oil. Today, they don't use, well, they still use the oil, but they're finding out that a more of a natural paste rather than a distilled oil is going to keep more. It's just like any other cooking. When you cook something, you actually cook the nutrients out of it. Same thing with distilling. You're going to distill some of those nutrients out of it. So when you get the RSO, it's distilling certain things out of it that remain in the paste, and the paste itself containing those elements seems to be having better effects than the oil. So I'm doing research currently on the paste, and we may go over that depending on if anybody comes up on panel or not. And before we get into my regime, I want to thank everybody for stopping by and joining the chat and watching the video. And please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Help these algorithms out, get this information out. And if you're on Hecklebus, get over to El Perro, do the same. And if you're on El Perro, get over to Hecklebus, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. There are a couple PayPal links in the chat for now. They are also in the details section below. When I get done with this video, I will put them down there. I did not put them in this video particularly as of yet. But one is a PayPal link, FBU, and that is a PayPal to PayPal. So if you've got a PayPal account, use that link. And if you don't have a PayPal account, there's a PayPal link that says business on it. Use that one. And of course, always use friends and family. That way it comes in as a donation and I don't have to dispute it with PayPal. Other than that, back to the heal thyself. It's a basic concept, again, of your own knowledge of how the real world works, the natural world works. And one of the first things I want to start out with is I've always been a big juice drinker. And if you know my history, I talk about being a moonshiner. Well, when I was a kid, my mom and dad, the people that adopted me, even though I was going to the public education system, they helped me out with homeschooling as well, learning about things at home, the mechanics. They were both government workers, so I had access to all the nice little electronic gadgets, the brick phone, all the first computers, everything. And along with that came the homestead part of gardening and all that, and juicing and canning. And one of the first things I learned about juice is that it's naturally going to ferment. It has its natural yeast and natural fermentation bacteria as soon as you open it to the air. Once you open it to the air, now it's got air, and instead of refrigerating it, if you keep it out on the shelf at room temperature, generally things ferment right around 71 degrees. So if you keep it like in a window or something, it's going to actually start fermenting. And you have to keep it, pay attention to it, because the bottle, being plastic bottles, they will expand as it ferments because it's creating gases. Get. Shut it now. Sorry about that. But one of my favorite things has always been juice. And when you let it sit out like that, it'll start to ferment. And that fermentation, after you open it to the air and close it and take a little drink out of it, starts out as apple juice, of course. But after a week, it's going to get cloudy instead of clear. And you're going to see all the stuff on the bottom, just like you would if you were fermenting a wine. It's going to have its collectives on the bottom. You're not going to see them too much here because I already shook it up and took a drink. But those are the fines, the nutrients and stuff that fall out, and they collect up on the bottom. And then when you shake it, it's going to act just like alcohol and going to end up a lot of carbonated water. And that's what Dick is talking about, is the carboxylates. Same with distilling. Like I said, your RSO, you don't have to decarboxylate it. You don't have to do a lot of those processes. And in fact, you actually want some of that stuff in there, and a lot of things like your distilled water or your tap water. What they do is they chemically clean it, and that water coming through the tap, the only nutrients it's going to have in it is the ones that it picks up along that pipe. That's it. And so and as well as your, like I said before, your tap water is H2O, whereas your fruit and vegetable juices are actually H3O2. It's a different phase of water. And in its H3O2 form, the carbon structure there is more acceptable to the body for absorption in the cells. It passes through the cell wall barriers naturally. Whereas H2O, they take the natural water that's already positive water and they make it negative water. That H2O carbon structure, when you drink that, your body has to actually expend energy in order to then find the nutrients in your own body, the hydrogen to add to it, the oxygen to add to it, so then it can pass through the cell wall barrier. Otherwise, if you're just drinking fruit juices and veggie juices, like a lot of your juices nowadays, you don't even have to juice them. Just eat the apple. It's got the H3O2 in it. Eat the veggies. It's got the H3O2 in it. You don't have to grind it and pulp it to get the H3O2 or the nutrients. Just eat it. No need to juice. No need to drink water. I haven't drank water in 30 years. I stick with milk and juices. Other than that, like I said, the vitamin C. Vitamin C, I take 4,000 milligrams a day. This comes with rose hips. This particular brand has rose hips with it. Two other important things as far as nutrients when you're trying to heal thyself is the magnesium oxide and the folic acid. And generally, again, like I said before, with these vitamins and stuff, you actually want the crystal form. You don't want the synthetic powders. The synthetic powders are just like your H2O and H3O2. Your body's going to have to do some converting in order to use anything of those synthetic powders. Whereas if your crystal form, it's already in a natural form that your body will absorb it, your crystalline unit. And before I get on any further, you've got two eyes that have solid crystals in them. You've got two ears, which have solid crystals in them. And you've got a pineal gland that has solid crystals in them. And if you take the parameters of those crystals from here to your ears, both this way and this way, you're going to find out that it's going to put a little platform, a plane, a square plane, and the pineal gland is going to be at the center, just like a pyramid. This is where we receive the photon light. The different colors give us our different light energies, and we receive those, and it activates the crystals in our eyes. Same with the sound. The sound is the crystals in your ear actually are sitting in a body of water, just like your eyes. The crystals sit in a body of water. What happens to sound when you send it through water? It's amplified. Okay. The next one, touted as a cure cancer on its own, apricot. Natural bitter apricot kernel extract. Now you can either, I'll be right back. Okay. So the apricot kernels, like some other plants, have cyanide in them to a certain amount. Now it's not deadly because it's such a minuscule amount, but the cyanide in there is one of those things that supposedly kills cancer, just like it would kill anything else. Turmeric curcumin. This is from Dr. Sebi's diet. This is one of those things that seems to be, and I don't have the full research on it, but it's one that comes in a lot of your dietary research as being one of the components for aging and oxidation and health in the cells itself. Let me see here. First, I want to say greetings to everybody. JLV, Big Stank, Unindoctrinated, Travis Turner, Ginger Bridge, Freedom Grower, Jeff Pizer, Ravo, Moon Peach, Steve, Katrina Cannon, anybody else out there, greetings and welcome. Make sure you hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And JLV says, let's see here. Make sure we get the... I don't know. Sometimes you gotta let me know what you're saying here in context to the conversation, because I don't know what you mean by mother. But is it an additional oxygen molecule or additional? Actually, it's H. If you take H2O and then you have H3O2, what you're doing is you're adding another hydrogen and another oxygen molecule. Anyone else hear the Mandela? Yes, apricot seeds do have B17, but the premise here on the apricot seeds is a cyanide. B17 is also important, as I also take vitamin D. And this is another supplement that if you don't get out in the sun enough, you really need this. This one here is an oil form, and I take 4 of these a day, and they're little dissolvable oil, vitamin D oil. Whereas if you go out in the sun, that's that ultraviolet blue rays that you hit on your temple, and your blood veins will pick that up. And it's photonic energy, photon light energy, and you need that. Another thing is the ivermectin and fenbendazole. Now, these are parasite and dewormer medicines that they use in the agriculture and farming industry for animals and pets. And what it is, they're both going to do the same thing. It's just that the fenbendazole is in a tablet form, and it's a short-term dewormer, whereas the ivermectin is a liquid, and it's a long-term. And what they do is they suggest that you alternate fenbendazole 1 week and then ivermectin the next week, and that you use a, it's called TUDCA, and it's actually an activator. And we're going to look that up real quick. I didn't get a chance to do that before we got started. So hang with me real quick. Okay. TUDCA is related to the bile production in your body, and what it's going to do is it's going to help break those elements down. Like I said, with your H3O2, the TUDCA is what helps break the components down so that then you can mix them. It's like having a pound of sugar and a pound of flour, but they both got moisture in them, so now they're solid bricks. The TUDCA in your bile system would act to break those down so you could then mix them properly. Yes, pH is important. That's another one I'm going to bring up because I've been doing that. I'll show you with the baking soda and test strips, also a part of it. Because it's a fermented thing, it's an acidic drink. So it's important to, when you're drinking this fruit that's been fermented, that you make sure you keep an eye on your pH, because you don't want it to drop down in them lower levels, or at least remain there for any period of time. But again, it's the bacteria and stuff in here that's going to work with the TUDCA and your bile and everything. It's going to help break things down. The next one, well, let's go ahead and do the baking soda. The baking soda is something I take at night, and I just take it dry with the fermented apple juice or a glass of milk, and I'll just dump approximately 1 teaspoon on it in my hand. And you don't want to swallow it dry; it will burn your throat. Do not swallow this stuff dry. Just put it in your mouth, and then fill your mouth with the liquid and whatever you're drinking, and then swallow it. And then, of course, you'll want to take a couple more swigs to wash it down, rinse it. The pH strips, and these ones here are just simple ones you can get online. They're a common test strip that you'll even see it down at the local probation office even. And what it is, they're just like the test strips for drug tests, and it's going to birth tests. It's going to give you a positive or a negative. In these here, it's going to give you 2 strips, 2 colors, and when you dip it, they're going to come up with 2 shades, and they should match the bottle accordingly. So the top one is going to be lighter than the bottom one. The bottom one should be always be a darker color going into the next phase of colors. So if it's real light orange and yellow, it's going to be a 4.5. And you see how it moves up as it changes in color. Now I like to keep mine right around 7 and 8. So you got 7.0, 7.25. They're going to have green on there. If you get up to 8.5, it's going to be more of a blue. And I've had it 8.5 before. But it's the same thing with an acid body. You don't want it to be totally alkaline either. So the important key here is to let it fluctuate so that it's acidic for a day or two, and then alkaline for a day or two. Acidic for a day or two, alkaline for a day or two. It's a matter of balancing the cycle. And the balancing the cycle is to keep it nice and smooth instead of spiking. And that's what we do in our life, is we spike our diets, and we spike our activities. And this shows in the summertime our activity for outdoors spikes, whereas in wintertime it drops. That's a cycle, and we're supposed to keep it in balance. This is one of the reasons why people migrated in the earlier times. They knew it was pertinent to keep that balance of cycle and continuously move, because in the winter times when they sat around, they froze to death. So they learned to get up off their asses and move south where it's warm. Okay. The next thing, nebulizer, an infuser nebulizer. This is a mesh nebulizer, and what you do is it's got a little capsule up here where you put your liquid in there, whether it be hydrogen peroxide, DMSO, colloidal silver, colloidal gold, whatever it is that you're going to infuse in your breathing. I don't recommend using DMSO in these because they've got plastic parts, and the DMSO is a cell membrane barrier thing. It will go right through your cell membranes. It will destroy the plastic. So I never recommend using DMSO in these unless you're mixing it with water. Don't use the straight DMSO. And if you're going to mix it with water, then just wait until you're done with the shower and use a spray bottle and just spray it on yourself. Like I said, it's going to go through the cell walls, and it'll penetrate through one side and go out the other. It's going to pull all the toxins out of your body in that process of sweating by pulling everything through as it goes through itself. Silver, colloidal silver and colloidal gold. Let's talk about that. That's, like I said, we're crystalline bodies, which is an electrical component. When you take crystals and you rub them together, and this is known, they know this, it's been known for a long time. It creates a piezoelectric charge that when you do that, it's creating light. Stand there and do that in the dark with two big crystals and rub them together, and you're going to see the light. That's the photon energy that's created from the friction of the crystals, the movement, the vibration that's caused when they touch. Boom. It creates an automatic in both crystals, a reverberation, an automatic inertia that says, okay, well, it hit a space and now it's going to bounce back. That's a vibration. That tiny piezoelectric current creates that light. And it happens within our body. We are nuclear bodies. We are alchemical bodies. We are crystalline bodies, electrical bodies. And so we have to learn how those kind of things work so that when we do end up with these diseases, diseases, where we're not at ease, and we have to start paying attention. At ease, soldier. We have to militarily style our body and put it in order. We have to keep it in order. We have to have it standing at attention. The next thing is I've got to put out a good word for. No, I can't even. Now I'm ashamed of myself. Divine energies. Divine energies. Pain oil. And it's just a simple ingredient. This is ingredients that you can get from home. Avocado oil, sesame seed oil, clove oil. That's all it is. Get your natural oils. We're so used to thinking about our diet in the terms of food and water, but it needs to have oil. Be anointed. You know, they talk about that, the three wise men that took gifts. And I guarantee you the three wise men didn't take gold, frankincense, and myrrh in the sense that you think they took. I guarantee you the gold wasn't solid form. I guarantee you it was probably a crystalline powder form. And that they anointed him with frankincense and then burned the myrrh. Again, the myrrh is inhaled through your chamber, your resonance chamber. Your nasal system is a resonance chamber. And then anointed him with the oil and then powdered him up with the gold. And then we all know as electrical components, gold and silver are conductive. Mono atom gold. Yes, one atom gold. It's when they're in the singular atom, they don't pose a color, they pose white. Yes, Orm Monatomiv. That's the Ormus they talk about in the scripture, I'm sure. I am sure. When you hear the term Ormus. The last thing is, again, this is a dietary herbal supplement. I can't remember where I got this, but it's a you can get it online. Wish Garden Herbs, and I can't remember if I got it from Amazon or eBay or what, but I got online and I looked it up, and it's a deep lung and bronchial support. And what it is, it's a bunch of different herbs in their liquid form, like I said, distilled earlier, and you just add it to your water or your juice, 6-8 drops a day, and it helps keep your lungs. In cases like myself, I was diagnosed with emphysema, and emphysema is actually the drying out of the lung tissue, and that's again why we use the colloidal silver and this stuff. And then one thing else that I've got that I've been using for a couple of years, and again why I tell everybody the importance of the oils, is I used to, when I had the original diagnosis of emphysema, COPD, I used to use their inhalers, which is a dry powder, and it's actually got aluminum oxates or sulfates in there. I can't remember what they have in them anymore, but it's an aluminum type thing, and it's an aluminum a powder, and it's really not as good for your body as like the silver colloidal and gold. But I got a friend that I stayed with down in Missouri, down in the Ozarks for a while. Pruitt's Tree Resin is their family business, 5 generations. And tree resin has the terpenes and stuff in it that they talk about in the cannabis industry. It's the oils, it's the terpenes, it's the crystal oils. Okay. And this here is just like a bong. As you see, it's got a straw here. And that would be like where you would put your bowl if you had a bong. And you take the cap off, and it's the mouthpiece. Okay. So put your mouth on the mouthpiece, and the straw goes down into the oil. And so when you suck on the mouthpiece, it's going to suck on this air chamber, and it's going to suck air through this straw, which is going to cause the oil to bubble and cause it to oxidize or aerate. It's going to aerosol. You're going to end up with air oil bubbles in the air, in the oxygen that you're breathing. So you're going to infuse oil into the air by breathing through this bottle known as a bubbler. Breathe in deeply, let it absorb into your lungs. Hold it there for 3 seconds, and let out, just like you would a regular inhaler. And that helps cure that dryness. Most people think that you get something moist with water, and that may be true, but you got to remember water is a solvent. So better yet is an oil. Okay, and let's see here. I think that's it. Other than that, along with the dietary supplements here, I also take Boost, which is the little 8-ounce drinks. I have 1 or 2 of those a day, and they're really like super sweet. I've got the vanilla at this point, and they're really super sweet. So I mix them with water or with milk, 8 ounces of the drink with 8 ounces of milk, and it's usually okay. And then if you want, you can put some chocolate syrup in there. And the drinks themselves come in various different flavors, so you could actually even get chocolate and then just mix it with milk. Other than that, I do a lot of like your natural nuts and stuff. I got almonds and pistachios, and they're going to have natural oils in them as well. And then fish is another one. I eat a lot of fish as much as I can because it's got the natural omega-5 oils. And I'm telling you, those oils are important when it comes to your diet, just like the TUDCA is in regards to fenbendazole and ivermectin in helping breaking those down for your body to absorb them. and work effectively. And again, remember, any of these supplements that you get, try to get the crystal form, because again, your body's going to absorb them and it's going to do you 10 times better than any of the chemical substitutes known as I'm having a brain fart. I need another hit. Synthetics. You don't want the synthetic medical pharmacy created stuff. You want the natural crystalline forms. So make sure you do your research. And yes, raw honey. I do honey on a regular basis. Anytime I have chicken, I dip it in honey. I'll sprinkle some on any lettuce or salad that I might have as a topper as well with the salad dressing. Honey is very important. It's a natural sugar. Again, that crystalline form that your body will use more appropriately than the sugar cane sugar that you're using today. Also with your salts, your table salt and your Himalayan salts and stuff, you want to do your research on those. Make sure you're getting the right kind of salt. Another thing, calcium. People drink milk and they're convinced that milk, it does your body good. Sure, it does your body good to a certain point. Because just like H2O and H3O2, your body has to do certain things to absorb some things. And in milk, the cow's milk that you drink, your body cannot do enough to do anything to absorb any more than maybe 10% of the calcium. So even though the advertisement is correct, milk, it does your body good, it doesn't do it a whole lot of good. It's just the fact that your body is able to absorb some of the calcium. The more natural calcium, again, is the crystal form, coral calcium. And this is all the crushed powders and stuff that end up on the seafloor from the crustaceans. And that is a total crystal calcium that your body will absorb 100%. They did studies on places in the world where people were using coral as part of their diet, or had coral as part of their diet through seafood, and they found people living to be 100. This was a while back, and now they're not living quite so long because they've been modernized and taken upon new dietary supplements from around the world. But back when they first discovered these people living 160 years average. Today, the average population still reaches about 110 in those areas. Other than that, let's see, turkey tail mushrooms. Yes, mushrooms. I am a big mushroom fan. Let me pull something up here for you. I spent 7 months up in the mountains in up along the Appalachian here about 6 years ago, 5.5, 6 years ago. And I come across a lot of mushrooms. And I ventured a lot of them, knowing what some of them were. Of course, the magic ones were always nice. But there are many varieties that are out there, and you don't have to be as afraid of them as the medical industry says. You just have to know how to approach them. You have to know their effect. You have to know that even touching them could give you certain symptoms, and you have to pay attention to those symptoms to find out what's going on there. And so it's a matter of a process. So let me pull something up here. It's a matter of process. So if you come across a mushroom that you don't know and you touch it and you sit there for 15 minutes and it doesn't do anything to your finger, okay, now touch it to your tongue. Just touch it. That's all you got to do. If it doesn't do anything to your tongue, then maybe take a little teeny tiny piece. Again, remember, they talk about micro dosing in mushrooms for a reason. because they are very potent, or it can be very potent. So you have to microdose. And then as you microdose, you can build up the dose. So that's the same process when you're out there in the world finding new mushrooms that you're not familiar with. You microdose. And the microdose is by touching. And then by touching, maybe just the dry lip, and then the tongue, and then maybe putting a piece on your tongue and not eating it, but just letting it sit there. 15 minutes at a time, testing. This is your own experimentation. You're supposed to be a scientist. You're supposed to be able to heal thyself. You're not supposed to have to depend on somebody else to do everything for you. That's laziness. But I come across a lot of different kinds of mushrooms and fungus. This is a fungus. It's a slime mold, as they call it. But it's one of the healthier things for you. There's a purple, and most often you see these in red and yellow, but this is a purple Amarita. There's another kind of, most people think of it all as mushrooms. They're fungus and microbial plant growth. This is a microbial fungus. It too is excellent for your health. All kinds of mundane type mushrooms. A red Amarita would look like, but there's no white on it. So this is a different type. This is not an Amarita. Another one of the purple Amaritas. Looky there. Some good old goat's beard. There's some more of that yellow fungus I was telling you about. Yellow slime fungus. There's some nice oyster mushrooms growing on the side of this log. Those were excellent when I got done. Some of the best oyster mushrooms I'd found or had in my life. Nice moist log. You can see it had been burned, all the char on it. And that's one of the elements you want to look for mushrooms. You know, we have all these national wildfires going on. And we're not going to talk about them themselves, except for the fact that they enhance the growth of mushrooms. They get down to that mycelium and that undergrowth. And if it's destroyed, that mycelium is just like pruning a bush. It wants to send all of its energy to the place that was pruned. So in burning off forest land, the mycelium, all of its energy goes toward sealing that hole in the net. Because that's what it is. That mycelium undergrowth exists on all land that has moisture. So it's not going to exist in the deserts, but every piece of land that has that moisture in it with the black dirt and everything is going to have a mycelium layer. And that's the microbial beginnings of all plant life. It has to be there. So it's very important for it when the land burns off that it has to grow back again. And that's the purpose of this whole cycle of things. It's rearranging the nutrients. Like I said, when you use a distiller, you're knocking out a lot of the nutrients that are falling to the bottom of the kettle, and then what's being condensed and evaporated out of that is the lighter elements. Mushrooms galore. There's a nice Amarita. Yeah, I like them kind of magic mushrooms. Look at that. You can see down here on the stalk, there's a slug. Slugs love mushrooms. This is what they eat. Another one. There's 6 of them here. There's one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, and one there. And you can see they're all in full bloom. This one's still got kind of a dome on it, but they're all flat top. That's full bloom. And you'll notice most mushrooms you see, you're going to have these fins here, right? Other mushrooms, they're not finned. They're more of a coral type. They don't have fins. So there are different kinds of funguses and mushrooms. Now this here, as disgusting as it looks, it again is one of the better mushrooms for you, or funguses for you. And you see right there, it's actually on some scat. That is a pile of scat. And then it grew right on that scat because what they ate is what had the fungus in it. And so it grew on the scat, which is common for this type of fungus. And you can see where, when you're out doing your mushroom hunt, you can see where other animals have taken their little bits of the mushrooms. So if you observe nature eating it, it might be plausible to be good for you. Yes, always use gloves when harvesting mushrooms. And even if it's like morels or chicken of the woods or anything like that, um, you want to make sure that it's just like anything else. You want to wash it before you eat it. So even if it's not a poisonous mushroom, you still want to keep it clean as much as possible. So you don't want to end up with anything on your hands, and make sure you clean them. Let's go through some of these. Chicken of the woods. Yes. Lemon raw honey, dandelions, turkey tail, almond milk. Yes. Chicken of the woods is one of my favorites. If you guys aren't familiar with chicken of the woods, one of the biggest ones I got was a 20-pound head, and it's just like a head of lettuce. It's got a bunch of little sprouts on it. And instead of being a regular mushroom, it's got a bunch of little, they look like little flower petals, but they're thick and they're mushrooms. And they grow off the one stalk, and it looks just like a head. It's called a goat's beard, is what they're, chicken of the woods or goat's beard, is what they call them around here. And why they call them goat's beard, I don't know. Have no idea. But technically they're called chicken of the woods. And they come in various different colors, but they're excellent. And what you do is you just, again, you're just going to pull the whole thing out of the ground, and you're going to pull all those little petals off. You're going to pull them all off, wash them, and batter them and fry them up. Some of the best stuff you can get. And as far as damsel medic water thing, you don't need to drink water. Like I said earlier, you can get all the moisture content you need out of your fruits and vegetables, and you can also bathe. Your skin is going to act just like your lungs in absorbing air and then dispelling carbon dioxide. Your skin is going to absorb that water and then displace the oils. So that's the purpose, or that's the principle behind taking a bath or a shower, is your body's going to absorb the water because it's going to act like a sponge, and in that absorption it's going to express the oils. Let's see here. Anybody else? Yes, they've been doing research on on mycelium and brain cells. It's amazing what they're finding out. And that's why I say it's important people do their research. We've got all these people that think the medical society is out to get them and stuff, and no, it's just from people doing their research, and they're trying to find different ways to do different things, and they're just more of a clinical concept rather than a natural concept. And so we have to remain in our own natural element to prevent that clinical concept from being overbearing. And this is why it's important to recognize that these doctors that are taking these exams and stuff, they also take a Hippocratic oath to Apollo and the Greek gods. So it's all for their education so they can get a piece of paper to tell somebody else that they're smart. When the really intelligent thing to do, again, is to do your own research so you know. Quit believing everybody else. Yes, no Mercy Sheep says if they ever cured anything, they'd be out of business. And Big Stank says, do you still use your Rife machine? Yes, the Rife machine is right here. I keep it accessible at all times. With all the paperwork and everything. And again, it's one of those things that I recommend everybody do their research. This is one of those machines that can be used for any health situation. You don't even have to have health problems to get one and use it to enhance your life. Again, we're all energy frequency beings, and that's what that's doing, is sending off energy frequencies. And the way I use it, it's got the let me get it untangled here. It's got the black and white, or red and white probes, and then I just set them by my wrist. I use a band to strap them to my wrist, and that way the current goes across my wrist right here, and it's creating positive energy in the blood itself, and helps keep the blood itself healthy. And that's your main component in your immune system is your blood. It's the carrier. It carries the oxygen into your or from your lungs into the rest of your body, and then expresses all the carbon dioxide from your lungs. It's carrying all the nutrients and stuff like that. That are important, as like I said, those nutrients in the crystalline structure, because as that water or as the blood is carrying it through your system, or the nutrients are being carried through your system through any of the liquids, as those crystals pass, they cause a friction, and it's actually building that piezoelectric energy in your body at that time. And people don't think about this stuff in the quantum level. They think about the nuclear reaction as a nuclear explosion, where on the quantum level, that nuclear reaction is that one crystal meeting another crystal and creating that one beam of photon light that you're never going to see. You're never going to see it, but it's there. Mudras, yes. Grounding is one of those things I do on a regular basis. I'm also going to be doing what they call the sun gazing, getting up first thing in the morning and watching the sun as it comes up, not looking directly at the sun, but letting those photons hit your eyes and energize you for the day. Like I said, that sun is an important thing, and done right. I think it's one of the pertinent things of living your life right. There are certain things that we're supposed to do naturally as a regular occurrence, as a pattern, as a balance, as a cycle. And if we don't do that, our bodies aren't doing us what it's supposed to. And that's why we end up with these diseases. So. Yes, an EMPI select tennis machine. It's basically the same thing. It's a frequency generator. There's a lot of different machines out there, and the difference between this one and many of the others is the frequency range. This one here, every frequency there is. That's why it's so expensive. It was $1,900 total, and it's a GB 3400. Let's see, anything else? Oh yeah, microgreens. I know Dick was here earlier. If he's still here, microgreens is one of Dick's pro things. And yeah, the link's there. If anybody wants to come up, feel free to come up. Otherwise, I'm going to shut it down. If I don't have anybody to talk to and I'm just sitting here speaking out, it kind of shortens the conversation. Yeah, healing transmitters, things like that. And I've got all kinds of crystals that I picked up when I was out in the Appalachians. So I do have them around, and yeah, and I think that he says the EMPI was $400, and I think the Spooky 2 goes for around $300. And you can get the different wands and accessories too. I just use the regular electronic leads because they're going to do the same thing. You can get the white or the light photon wands. They'll actually do like a Tesla thing, and you'll see a spark of light generating in the wands. All kinds of things. Greetings, Ansel. How you doing?
Doing really good. How you doing, Keith?
Good.
Hear me okay? I'm not reverbing or anything?
Nope, I think you're good for now.
Good.
You can always check your audio if need be. I want everybody to meet Damsel Medic. Damsel has been through some stuff in her life where she was actually paralyzed for a while, weren't you?
Yep.
So go ahead and speak out.
I'll tell a little bit of my story so people get where I'm coming from. So I was an Air Force medic and was deployed to Iraq. And a week before I went, I was given 5 vaccines that I can't tell you exactly what was in all of them because I don't even know what they all were. And I started having symptoms shortly after while I was in Iraq. And it started with just being congested, feeling fatigued. And I thought it was just related to being overseas and not getting able to get sleep and working too hard. But eventually came home and continually started getting more and more symptoms, severe fatigue, started getting bone pain, muscle twitches, all kinds of just bizarre symptoms that nobody could explain, brain fog. What else? The bone pain was probably the worst. It eventually made it so I could barely walk. And then the muscle weakness started in, and I lost the ability to eventually lift my arms, move my legs, and eventually I couldn't even hold up my head at one point. And this took years to get worse and worse, and they kept trying to figure out what was wrong. Nobody could figure it out. And eventually I ended up in a wheelchair, a full wheelchair, holding up my head even because I would lose my airway if I didn't. And I was in the hospital for months at a time with all kinds of weird ass symptoms, passing out, low blood sugars would just drop, couldn't eat. Eventually my stomach stopped working. I ended up on a feeding tube. It's just hard to explain everything that happened. My blood pressure wouldn't be controlled. It'd drop and I'd pass out. I had seizures at some point, all kinds of uncontrollable muscle movements. So it was horrid. And then I got allergic to the sun too. I started breaking out in rashes every time I got out in the sun. So butterfly rash across the face. So I had every kind of autoimmune disease. Eventually they diagnosed me with rheumatoid arthritis and several other autoimmune diseases that could potentially be going on, and put me on hospice for 2 years. Such severe pain. I was on 200 milligrams of morphine a day. I was on several different chemotherapies because they thought that would suppress my immune system enough maybe to give me a benefit. Of course, it didn't work at all. It made it worse. I was on huge doses of steroids.
Yeah, and I'll mention one thing real quick. I was done with the pain medications almost 4 months ago now. That was one of the things that told me that what I was doing before I even got started with the immunotherapy, that something was right, because I was relieving the pain without any treatment from them yet.
Yep.
So, the pain kept increasing. And when we realized it was cancer, that's when I started implementing my own treatment. And as soon as I started doing that, that's when the cancer started um, receding, or whatever you want to call it, in remission.
Regression, yeah, whatever you want to call it.
And I didn't have any proof, but I knew myself that's what was going on, because of the way my body was feeling. My body was telling me it was getting better. So I knew instantly, or automatically, that what I was doing was good and correct. Then when I was able to completely be done with it, that's when my energy level started picking up and stuff, and I was able to finally start gaining weight. And I dropped from 135 down to 105. Now I'm back to 125 now. So I've got 10 more pounds to go back to my regular weight and everything. So what I'm doing is a good and correct thing. And I'm not so sure that it has so much to do with the Keytruda that I'm taking, but more so with everything else.
I would think it was more everything else. The only thing I was a little bit concerned to hear you taken was Boost. That stuff is full of corn syrup. It's terrible for you.
Well, yeah, and that's why I said I mentioned it. It's super sweet.
Yeah,
And so I have to mix it down with milk or something like that. And once I find out the more appropriate nutrients that I'm trying to get, then I'll be able to pick a Boost and implement those nutrients more specifically. But right now, it seems like the Boost is giving me the nutrients I need to keep gaining that weight. And I think it's mostly the protein.
Yeah. Well, they used to have me on Orgain, which is an organic one. That's what I ended up going on, because I found out during this whole episode I was allergic to corn. And you'd be surprised how many people are actually allergic to corn, especially the GMO corn has been modified. So there's all kinds of enzymatic problems with it with us. And so that was a huge factor. Once I figured that out, because that was causing more inflammation. Autoimmune disease is all about inflammation. Cancer is actually a lot of inflammation too. It's related to having too much inflammation. That's why RSO works so well. I went on huge doses of RSO, and that started to bring down some of the inflammation. I changed my diet. I went to totally organic, and they went to a feeding tube solution that had no sugars in it other than from natural food, and high protein, and no corn. And that was one of the big things. But it took years for me to get through it. It literally took me 10 and a half years to get to a point where I finally had my last bit of a miracle to regain my ability to walk. And
real quick here, welcome Z Punks. How you doing today?
I'm doing well.
Good. What do you got for us?
I'm JK in the chat.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to finally join you on one of these. I got a microphone and my earphones going, and I can't hear myself in the chat right now, but I guess you can hear me. Anyhow, yeah, I love all the other content you put out, and since I've seen you bringing up stuff about this cancer battle and, well, remedies or ways to better treat yourself, I just try to join in on the conversation and I guess add what I can with it. I've been putting things in the comments, so I myself have just studied things like this, and I haven't found myself to be diagnosed with any cancer, thank goodness. But other than that, I'm pretty passionate about plant medicines and crystal healing and some of the woo-woo stuff that people consider, even out there with the Rife machine. So just wanted to join in and let you guys hear my voice, I guess. And I mean,
always glad to have you.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and keep going on. I just maybe I'll drop a couple blurbs in, but right now I'm just kind of nervous from even joining the chat. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Anytime. I always appreciate the outside comments, because it helps keep me out of my ego and let me know that there are other perspectives that I may not be seeing. So
sure, yeah. Okay, great.
Other than that, the basics here is to realize that everything you're doing, you've got to quit depending upon everybody else. Your best solution is always going to be yourself, because only you see the world from your eyes. And think about something, guys. When you go to the doctor, does the doctor know what's wrong with you? No. You have to tell him. So if you have to tell the doctor what's wrong with you, why don't you learn how to tell yourself what's wrong with you? Find out what's causing it, or the possibilities of what's causing it, so you can review those and see which ones are actually active in your life that would be most likely the probable cause, and fix that. That's really all you got to do. That's what a real man does when he finds something wrong with his car, because he doesn't want to take it to the mechanic. He wants to figure, well, God damn, I thought there was a belt there, and there's no belt there anymore. Maybe sure enough, you look it up. There's supposed to be a belt there. You go get the belt, you put it on. You don't need to take everything to a mechanic. Just like the doctor, you don't need to take your kid to the doctor for everything. Find out what's going on and figure it out yourself is your best opportunity to heal thyself. Again, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. So that tells me the true benefit is the knowledge.
Even I was a medical provider, so I was a physician assistant diagnosing people. And if I could not get them to communicate well enough to understand them, then I had to use my intuition to figure out what was wrong with them, because a lot of people don't communicate even to themselves or to others what is wrong with you. You really got to sit. No, they don't. They don't know how. And they also don't sit with themselves and really feel their body, feel their spirit, feel what's going on. Because I found a lot of this healing that I got came from a spiritual aspect. Learning to forgive. Resentment, unforgiveness, anger will keep you from being healed. It also will make you sick. I found more patients of mine, once they got their mental and their spiritual stuff right, then everything else fell into place, started falling into place. Then the food became more effective. Everything became more effective. They found other ways. So getting that right spirit is going to be key in any healing, even if it's chronic pain. If you can't get your mind wrapped around the pain and learning that you can control a lot of it with your own mind and your own spirit, you're going to struggle. You're going to really struggle.
Yep.
So,
and then Rick J mentions down in the chat. I don't know what's going on with my audio. Maybe I just need to speak lower.
I don't know. Your gain might be a little high.
Yeah, I don't know. Let me see here.
So, Wizard, do you know about homeopathic medicine? Do you use any homeopathic?
You're talking about natural plants.
No, homeopathic's a little different. It is natural, but it's also considered bunk pseudoscience medicine, but I don't agree. Homeopathic is the idea that water has memory, and that by diluting certain substances by micro amounts to the point where you dilute it out to the point where the water or the solution has none of it even detectable longer in it, but the memory has been picked up. So
yes,
it also uses the idea of the inverse in nature, whereas if you eat a plant that causes nausea, then if you take that small of a dose, your body will recognize that you're starting to get nausea problems and actually use its own systems to counter the nausea or whatever other symptoms. So
correct.
It's the opposite. So that's homeopathic. But there's also
I call it inducement health.
Yeah, it is. It induces the body to recognize there's something here that it needs to fight because it's missing it for some reason.
And that's perfect in relation to the comment I just tagged up. Oh, and the egg yolks work great for me. Thanks for that tip, Wizard. The egg yolk. You don't really want to cook eggs. If you're going to eat eggs,
changes
eat them raw.
Yeah, it changes amino acids and proteins when you cook it.
The amino acids and everything in that egg yolk, all those genes, the genes match in such a large portion that your body will be able to use them as fresh cells. These are stem
cells.
cells.
Stem cells. Yeah. It's another replacement for triggering stem cell. Yep.
Yes. So again, another inducement.
Yep.
Because you're not cooking it out of the food and just making it dead food. It's live food.
Yep. It's very important. So with the homeopathic thing, they also found when they cremated bodies, one of the most famous German homeopathic people, I think in the 1800s, they were trying to figure out what was in the body that would be missing if you were low on certain elements. So they were cremating bodies and then chemically finding out what elements were left over. And they were called cell salts by the homeopathic community. And so is one of the things that a lot of people recommend, and even most of the homeopathic and naturopathic doctors recommend you take cell salts. So I take bioplasma. It's very easy. It doesn't have any reactions to anything. Again, it's just to induce your body to gain those nutrients that you would be missing possibly. They're in such micro amounts anyway, even when they cremated the bodies. But a lot of times that will help. It will help.
Just like we talked about the crystals earlier, crystals coming in contact create a piezoelectric current. Okay?
Yep.
Now those salts are the same thing. So what happens when you take, like I said, I take baking soda. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of salt in there with it.
Yep.
And that salt, when you add salt to water, it creates a positive energy in the water. So that's going to do the same thing when you take salt in your body. Yep. So again, when you're doing the soaking in the bath, you can use cell salts in your bath water.
Exactly. See, what kind of salt do you like to use? I have a particular salt that I love that's earth. It's mined from Salt Lake area. Redmond salt. It's got all your elements in it from the earth. It's directly comes from the earth.
I just use regular Himalayan
Himalayan's another one. Yeah, Himalayan's another good one. So both of those are really good. I use it in just to keep myself hydrated if I'm getting dehydrated. We have 105 to 110 temperatures out here. So I'll use distilled water and then add the salt to make sure I don't get dehydrated if I can't eat enough fruit. So, but,
and that's another thing with that distilled water. That's why I say you're actually distilling a lot of the nutrients right out of it. So you have to put the nutrients back in.
Yeah. Without the fluoride.
Yes.
No. So, yeah. But I agree with you on the colloidal silver. I have a particular brand I like that's called Silver Wings. It's really highly recommended by a lot of the naturopaths. It's a good one. It's a nutritional one. You can take it every day. So this is the one I use. Silver Wings.
Yeah. It's just, it says ultra silver. But I haven't compared it to anything else, so I don't know on that end yet. This is the first time I've used it.
This is one that I've checked out and made sure that I've done the research on and found that a lot of other naturopathic health providers, this is the one they go with. So just keep an eye out for good quality. The other one I like is the Mushroom Complex. Oh, what company is it from? It's a Northwest company.
Oops, we just lost it.
I think it's called Host Defense Mushroom Complex. It's out of the Northwest. It's organic. It has your turkey tail, chaga, reishi, and a couple others I can't remember off the top of my head right now. It's another one that's really, really good. I fully believe in the mushroom.
Yeah, that's another one. I forgot. I've got it here right with me, but I forgot to mention chaga mushroom.
There you go.
And you can get this in capsule form, or you can get it in the tea form and just do it as a tea. I've also got some other teas out there that I forgot to bring in and show you, but they're for lung health and heart health and blood cell health.
Yeah. And that's what I went on to was a lot of teas. I didn't drink straight water when I was ill at all. I drank tons of different herbal teas, dandelion root, chamomile, all kinds of different things to get off all the drugs, because they had me on like 20 drugs at one point. And I finally knew I was getting sicker, and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I got off of everything except for the steroid at the very end and some pain meds. Eventually, though, I got off of those. Like you said, when I realized I was starting to feel healing, I could get off those pain meds. And I finally
And
did.
that's another thing you can do. You don't have to use straight water.
Yep. You can
You
use
can
juices,
use juices.
kombucha. You can make
Yeah,
kombucha.
you don't have to boil them. You can steep them to a nice hot temperature. So all you're going to do is steep those nutrients from the tea into your drink, and then
Yep.
you got a nice apple tea.
That's all I did was set it either in the sun or just set it out for a few hours, and it would always get enough to be just as much as a boiling pot of water. And then I even learned to make my own RSO. So I would go and pick out really high quality weed. So you need to know what strains you're using. Sometimes on that gets you a better RSO. And I used, of course, grain alcohol to make it, not butane. Some people are making it with all kinds of weird stuff. Rubbing alcohol, I've heard. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I do want to mention on this DMSO, make sure if you're going to use the DMSO topically on your body, do not do it any other time except when you get done taking a shower, so you've washed all the oils off. If you're using a suntan lotion and then you spray this on there, it's going to carry those oils right into your body
instantly. That stuff is crazy. I use DMSO as well, so I agree with you on that. I always keep my DMSO in a dark glass bottle, though, because it does get broken down by the sun. It'll lose its effectiveness.
Right. And it freezes at 65 degrees.
Yeah. It's crazy stuff.
Yeah. Welcome, Joel. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, how you doing, Keith? You might remember me from some of Derek's Zooms and stuff like that.
I do.
Good, because we all need to stick together. I tried to briefly go over a lot of what you're talking about today. I just had a couple of things to tell you. One thing is what the three wise men brought. You can mix
and myrrh, monatomic gold. Yep.
Something super, super effective with that is to actually mix it with coconut oil. And then this sounds really bad, but you would inject it in the anus really deep with like the butt up, and it goes way in, and it gets in for lung cancer. It gets in for cancer super quick. If somebody has like 3 days to live, it will actually have a good chance of reversing it.
Faster absorption. Yeah, the absorption rate through the rectum is huge. And it's the same with people that claim to do coffee enemas.
I was going to say coffee enemas and stuff. Because your body will absorb the caffeine and everything. It's an absorbing unit. Your whole body is.
Yeah. Another thing, too, I guess going into this part, the nose, into can't think of what the name of it is supposed to be 20% stronger than an injection. So that's kind of nice.
The sinus chamber membranes,
Yeah, it's really something.
Yeah, that's a resonant chamber in there. And that's why I tell people when you breathe in, that's your breath of life.
Right.
And when you listen to the vowels of your breathing, E-I-O-U-A, you don't have to pronounce them. It's already there in the sound of silence.
Wow.
That is Yahweh silently.
That's what they say. Yeah. The name of God in every breath. Yep.
Wow.
No, we even use Narcan nasal spray basically for faster use if we have to. It's even faster than injecting it. So there's a lot of other drugs we've used in the past, even emergency. So effective, very effective. But don't use the pharmaceuticals. I highly recommend, if anybody's out there, find alternatives. They are not keeping you getting better, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think my friend gave me some of that Narcan or whatever, and he said maybe I'm mixed up, maybe I'm not, but I thought that's for like an emergency use or something like that. If someone's something.
But Narcan has also been found to actually control severe pain in people that have had long-term use of opioids. The body is actually will get more pain, sometimes receptors going, because you've got so much of the opiate going on. It's actually causing a problem with an open response with the receptors, or an increase in the receptors. And Narcan, Suboxone, people don't realize that Suboxone is 2 elements, and one of the elements is Narcan. And they found that if you have severe bone pain or any chronic pain, that Narcan with really microdosing Narcan can actually control the pain and teach your body to, again, to learn to control its own pain and make its own pain medicines. It's really crazy how these things work. Being on long-term narcotics myself, I know for a fact that I was becoming so sensitive and overstimulated and way more pain than I needed. And actually coming off was a big deal. Coming off of it made it so I could recover from the pain.
Yeah, and see, that's one of the things I've always had in the back of my mind as an addict, and all of the people I've been around in my life, the low lives. I've seen a lot of people that have been through that situation. And so when I was on the pain medications, I wasn't on 200 milligrams of morphine a day, but I was still on hydromorphone.
I've been on fentanyl before, yeah.
Well, I was on hydromorphone and fentanyl.
Yep.
And so when I realized my pain was kind of subsiding, I was able to start letting off that medication and stuff. And that's one of the things they gave me in case I did overdose somehow was that Narcan stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a nasal one.
Like it's easy to give, quick, extremely quick, and very safe. Narcan is extremely one of the few drugs that I can say that if you have to use it, it's very safe. So I'm not a big, I don't have a big problem with Suboxone as long as it's eventually gotten off of as well. You shouldn't be using bupropion, naloxone. That's what the two ingredients are. Is bupropion, which is an antidepressant, which also helps with pain, and then naloxone. Most people don't realize that's what it is. It's not the opiate type function it has is just from the bupropion, but it's so mild that's not the problem. But you can get addicted to that too. You can get euphoria if you take too much of it, but it's meant to get off of it. I hate seeing these programs where they keep people on it thinking they have to be on it for the rest of their lives. They don't. They really don't. It's a mental game after a certain point. And so you can get off of it.
Yeah. And that's the whole thing, is that mentality. You've got to have the mentality, and that's that knowing. Again, the only way you're going to heal yourself is know yourself. The doctor can know you, but he can't heal you. All he can do is give you medication that will suppress the symptoms until you find out what's going on.
Well, that's because doctors aren't taught to cure anymore. We're given algorithms to look for and just cover symptoms. That's all we do anymore. There's very few things that, even as a provider, that I knew I could actually cure unless I got the patient involved to change their lifestyle, diet, or other things. Most people just want a magic pill anyway. They're not willing to go through the mental and spiritual part of it to actually gain real healing, because healing doesn't come from another person. I can recommend things, but it's going to come from you and from your creator and your relationship with that. So
yeah, and that's what Rick says it perfectly. They want to give you a medicine to cling to. Exactly,
because then you're a permanent customer and you're a permanent fixture in their system. It's great. You guys are complying so well. It's great. You're good customers. Yeah, that's why I hate what I found out it was to be. Yeah, you're a great customer.
So hey, did you guys bring up red clover stigligna or Hoxie formula at all?
I haven't brought up red clover, but I've used it.
That's a really good one right there. You want to look into. It's kind of like from the red clover, I think, and it's a super powerful one. It goes way back. It's really something special for cancer, but it was also considered a blood detox, and of course raw beets are super amazing too. But the Hoxie formula, that's a really good one. And sometimes there's different types of natural cures, and I think in a way you could kind of rate them a little bit from 1 to 10, like order them. And so I think Hoxie and the stuff the Three Wise Men brought are pretty much a little more towards the top, so.
Yeah, I used the frankincense and myrrh, and I never got a hold of any monatomic gold though, or anything like that. So, but I did use those. I used a lot of things that I found in the Bible. Actually, that's one of the things I searched out, was to see what I could find when I started figuring out that this was a spiritual game. And especially when it came to the mental visualization, my final miracle came from me finally realizing that I was allowed to have a miracle, and that I realized that all of Jesus's miracles, he said the same thing at the end of every one of them. He said it was your faith that healed you. He didn't say it was him. He didn't say it was God. He said it was your faith. So I took that to heart. I was like, so why am I not being faithful that I could be healed? And I really started to focus on that. And then I even picked out one of the miracles for myself as a story to focus on. And it was the woman that just barely was able to reach out and touch Jesus's hem of his garment.
Wow.
And I focused on that mentally for months. For months, I would imagine myself being the one that reaches out and having enough faith that if I just got a hold of whatever that power was, it would heal me. And it finally happened. It really did. I had a night that woke me up in the middle of the night with a light in the room. I can't tell you where the light was. I couldn't find it. And I got out of the wheelchair the next day.
I think that light is the pineal gland in there. And when you activate it, all them crystals start sparking and you see the light. And that's the power center.
Brighter than we got here. Yeah, it was bright and I couldn't figure out. It was the middle of the night. And I was
power center. It's the power center that sends that vibration through your body that cuts out all the negative bullshit.
I agree. And the weird thing was because of my disease and the way it had forced me into being so restrained, not able to use my own body, had to be cared for by everybody else. I had to go into my mental imagination and creativity to even keep my sanity, because at points I wasn't really sane during this illness, partly because of the medications, but partly because I was hospitalized with nobody around for so long and no stimulation, and I couldn't even hardly feel anything below my neck, couldn't chew food even, so feeding was nothing. I mean, it was just crazy. So I went into my imagination, went through my entire life mentally, found all the things that I was upset about, that I had gotten hurt by, and I started to work and process through them. So it was a meditative state that was forced upon me. I hope nobody else has to ever go through it the way I did, but it was a meditative state that got me to the point where I was able to get out of body experience. I had a near-death experience when I was so close to death at one point. It was all mental, and so it doesn't surprise me that I had a light come in the room, and it was probably, like you said, probably internal, and I could see it though.
I think it's all internal. I think it's that mental attitude. Again, like I said, when we're little kids and our mom and dad send us at public school, they destroy the natural instincts and the natural spirit to go out there and find out what that's about. Instead, they send us to another box. They move us from one box to another box and keep us from seeing what's out there.
I agree. Yeah, they don't want you to think about these things that you have the power over, that you have no power inside yourself, is the mantra they give you. You always have to seek somebody else's help. You have to find a doctor. You have to do this. You have to go there. You have to take that. I'm not so sure. And I've read stories about monks that were put in prison and given poison because they wanted to kill them. And because they had a mental prayer and a meditation over it, they couldn't kill them. They finally had to chop their heads off. I mean, that's pretty crazy to think that somebody can be given poison and it won't have any effect just because they believe it won't. They know it won't. They have the absolute faith that that's not supposed to happen to them. So
and a lot of it, like I said, that public education system that we start out with when we're kids, that's the destruction of the circadian rhythm. That natural environment that we're supposed to experience every day in a rhythmic pattern so we can get used to it. It's destroying that pattern and creating a time schedule. Pattern and time schedule.
I agree. One of the first real bad technologies that came along was probably the clock, the alarm clock. Instead of following,
they've been keeping time. They've been keeping time with the sundial for a long time. But the difference is in that over a period of time, they transformed the use for different purposes. It used to be that people weren't concerned with the time other than the fact that it's going to be dark when that shadow hits this point, and that's a measure of safety.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be out after dark with the wild animals. So it became a matter of scheduling for work throughout the day over time. And that's the thing that was morphed. So when we get back to the reality of the time comes from tide. And that's the waxing and waning, as I did in the video the other day. Look that one up, wax and wane. And this is that Leviticus 25, verse 25. If your brother is waxen and poor and hath sold off his belongings, and if one of his kin come to redeem him, he shall buy back his debt.
I'd like to share something. Also, it's a very simple story, very to the point. But I had a time that pretty much lost everything, and it became easier to talk to God. And after prayer to God, I saw the impossible change to the amazing. And I know it's a pretty vague story, but I'll tell you, it was way easier just kind of losing everything. And I just want to say it again, you know, after prayer to God, I saw the impossible change, because I'm sharing that not for my story, but for others to hear, you know, because people that aim to go down the path of seeking God, you know, it's real deal stuff. All these stories in the Bible and stuff like that, I had my opportunity to actually go through that. And, you know, it's just very simple. God is God. He's like us. And that's it. God is God. So.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I tell people too, you know, when I got sick and tired of this system and I decided I was done and said no more, I gave it all up. I gave up everything. I lost my family at the same time. Come to find out, I've got everything I need, and I found my family.
There you go.
It's amazing.
No doubt.
It's amazing when you let go and detach, like we talked with Paul. When you let go and detach, you're then free.
Right.
Also, though, like I've also said, in that freedom that I found out taking upon that freedom means I've got to take upon more responsibilities. And that's what most people don't want. And that's why they don't do it.
Well, some of the responsibilities I'm taking on, they're tough, they're hard, but it's just something that I love, because, you know, that's the good stuff, you know, that we're helping other people, you know.
Well, yeah, and that's the crux of the whole thing, is you got some people out there thinking they're helping somebody. Yeah, I'm going to give this guy $200, help him with his utility. Did you really help him? Or were you just a doctor that gave him some medication for a temporary fix? Because the next thing you know, he's going to come back to you next month. Why don't you help him with the $200 utility bill?
For years, repeat, and they never changed a thing. And I had to keep adding meds and trying to encourage them to get off. I actually got in trouble for taking people off of meds. I had to leave the medical community.
Don't teach them that. We can't pay you anymore if you do.
That's what I got in trouble for. I was reducing visits and doing all kinds of things and not pushing immunizations and all kinds of the push that I was supposed to do. When I went to medical school, the first day that I was there, they had a lunch supported by Pfizer, and we had them every week. As students, they were teaching us that these people would come and give us studies, but a free lunch too. It was great. Terrible system to be in, and it turned into a torture system for me. I literally went through a lot of torture because of them, and not because I allowed them. It was actually when I told them no, they forced treatments on me. They nearly killed me one time, and because I was not strong enough to fight back, and I had nobody standing with me at the time. I had no family that was around. Everybody had gotten so tired of me being sick for so long. I got left in the hospital for, like I said, months at a time, trying to fight for my life. And I highly recommend, if you do end up in the hospital, try to get somebody to be with you as much as you can. It's really scary. They will do things without your consent all the time. You got to be very careful. Just be really wise if you end up having to go. But people don't want responsibility for their own lives, health, or anything. And that's what really got me where I am today. If I hadn't taken responsibility for the fact that this was not going the way it should, if they were supposedly going to help me and I wasn't getting any better, and that there was a reason, and it was not them, it was me. And I had to figure it out. And it was painful, wasn't fun, but I sure learned a lot, and it'll never happen again. I doubt I will ever be like that again. I doubt I will ever be allowed to be like that. My life will end suddenly if it's going to end at all. So
yeah, that's one of the things about me. You know, there's certain things in my life that I just won't do anymore. Like I said 7 years ago, I did the banking system. I will not open a bank account again. I will not sign one of their documents again. There are certain things that once you learn, you just don't do them again. That's the process of repenting. You did something wrong, and you promise yourself that you will never do it again.
Yep. That's when you really learned it, and then you don't have to repeat it. So
there's a lot of things that we learn out there that we find out is very different. It's completely the opposite of what it is. And then some of us are just like, whoa, there's a little resistance. Some of us get stuck and crammed all the way against a brick wall. It's like, why? And then all of a sudden we find out, whoa, there's something very different, and we belong completely on the other side, on the good side, goodwill towards all man side, not the. It's so much evil out there. Really, it's nuts. I kind of try to tell people sometimes everything is opposite in this world. You look at the people who are in authority, and they quite often act the most childish. You look at the regular doctor, and that's out to kill people because, unfortunately, it's set to be a money system, and they just give you just enough to keep you there. Just enough health backing to keep you there. When really, the most powerful thing that I've ever seen is what God made.
Yes.
Even take a look at water filters made with carbon from wood. You turn the wood black into charcoal. It's still of the greatest of filtration for air and water. And the things that God made is more powerful. And I'm hoping that the things that man did recently, and not more than hoping actually, will be reversed by the things that are more powerful than God has.
Well, like I said, I was vaccine damaged, and I can tell you I had almost the exact same symptoms I'm seeing in a lot of these people that are having terrible suffering, some of the same things. And I kind of wonder if we were the trial, since I was military. And and it took me 10 years, but I had to believe that I wasn't going to die, even though they kept telling me I was. You have to believe that you can find a way out and that God will provide it. Because I did. I sought the Creator's answers in it completely. I had to surrender that. I never got mad at him either for it. It was all my own choice. I joined that military. I let them do that stuff to me. I participated in the medical system. My fault. Mine. Nobody else's. And I repent of it. I will not do it again, and I will not participate. And I hopefully will get other people to hear me so they'll get themselves out of it too. Do my penance for what I participated in.
Yes, it seems we live in the inverted matrix.
Yeah, and that's what we've got to recognize is, I keep telling people, this has all been my own fault. I've been a smart young man for most of my life, and I should have been able to figure this out a long time ago. But again, the problem is that we're all indoctrinated, and the reality is nobody really wants to take fault for what they've done, and nobody really wants to believe that they're an idiot. And so when it comes to that point, you really have to do that inventory, that 10-step inventory, and really look at yourself and say, do you really submit to that higher power? Or are you submitting to some Yahoo over here telling you some fucked up shit? And that's the sad part about it. We're all growing up and believing that other people know what they're talking about, when that's the one thing that we have to learn to dismiss.
Quit trusting everybody. Quit trusting authorities. They don't know what the hell they're doing at all. Most of them don't even know what they're doing. Most of the doctors I worked with had no idea what they were doing was totally detrimental. They've totally bought in and believe the system, and they've so bought in they can't even remove themselves if they do see the truth. Yeah. Because they feel obligated to all these things. They put themselves in debt, $200,000 plus to $400,000 for medical school. You got a mortgage, a kid, a family, you got a business maybe. It's very hard for these doctors to actually look at it clearly and walk away. Very good. They have a lot of hero worship, so they also make it a hero worship as a system, so these people feel valuable because of their white coat and the letters behind their name. It's very hard to give that up.
Greetings, John Thomas. How you doing today, brother?
Hey, brother. I was just passing by and I seen the your title, and I heard you saying you do immunotherapy.
Yes, the
I don't
Keytruda.
know. I don't know if you've heard of that carnivora. Have you heard of that?
No, I haven't.
It's another immunotherapy. It's just it's those Venus fly plants that they grind up, and that product they call that carnivora, and it's supposed to do wonders for your immune system. And people said they came back from bad cancer with it.
Huh.
If you look up carnivora, I just wanted to shoot that out there to you.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the search engine now. So,
Okay.
yeah, thanks for that. Carnivora. And it comes up
Just-
carnivores, of course.
It's just those ground up flytrap plants. It's supposed to be like miracle for your immune system. I'll leave it at that, though, brother. I just wanted to say, get better, and I didn't know that you were suffering with all that, and
Oh yeah, it's
better.
been over a year, brother. They diagnosed me with lung cancer, but I'm already passed through most of it. I think it's a course of treatment for about 2 years. They look at, but I'm doing my own supplements and stuff here at home, so it's more or rather going to be a matter of when they do a test and find out it's gone, and then we won't have to worry about treatment anymore.
Right.
And that the last test I've had so far, when they first tested it, it was 5 centimeters by 3 centimeters. And then the last time they tested it was, and this is after I went through even increasing pain. So it evidently got bigger. And then through my supplements and stuff, it started remission. And the last time they checked it, which was 3.5, 4 months ago almost, it was 4 centimeters by 2. So it decreased quite a bit already. And so now we're going to find out the next MRI, I think, is next month.
I'll be praying for you, brother.
And we'll find out then how much more is in remission. But the last one said that it was in remission and there's no more activity. So that means there's no growth or anything. It's actually they're saying it's actually more like dead.
It'll just get taken care of.
So we'll find out here shortly, I hope, and find out for sure. But again, they're going to want to tout the Keytruda as the cure.
Oh yeah,
But I'm telling you that my own regime that I've been going through at home is what was affecting me before I even started their therapy. So, and they knew this. This is all in their records and my records, that there was some kind of improvement before I even started their immunotherapy. So,
my mother got thyroid cancer back in I want to say 2015, and I had looked up Dr. Tullio Simazzini. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yep.
But she was afraid to. I mean, I got a conference with him and everything, and he showed us how to do the what's it called? Sodium bicarbonate treatments for the.
Yeah.
So if you know about him,
yeah, I've got my one of the best friends I've ever known in my life. It's a female. I actually thought I was her soulmate at one time, but she made me the godfather to her daughter, and she ended up contracting thyroid cancer. So we sat down with her and did a bunch of research, and that's when we ran across him and that stuff. And she's doing good too.
My mother didn't do it. She went to the doctors and let them cut out like the parathyroidal nodes.
Yep.
But I don't know if it would have helped. Simazzini said, don't let them do it. He told us exactly what they're going to say next. That they want to cut out her parathyroidals. That's the last thing you want to do, he said. He gave us the thing. But
yeah, your thyroid is a main component of your immune system as it relates to your fatty tissues and stuff, and your metabolism. So
Yeah.
important that it's same with your adenoids and stuff in your throat. When people get their tonsils taken out, they're not supposed to be removing things from your body. You're not supposed to be removing your teeth. You're not supposed to be removing anything. You're supposed to live healthily. So
It looks like Joel Thomas says he wants to vent about something. I'll see y'all after a while, brother. I just wanted to throw that out there. That
you bet.
carnivore.
Anytime. Thanks for stopping by. Always welcome.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Hey, I wasn't gonna break in if you guys were still busy. I just want to say that, but I could tell you what's on my mind right now if you want, if it's a good time.
Always appreciate it. Always appreciate it.
All right. First of all, I just left in the chat that the LED lights we're using nowadays have a major blue component, and so these crazy glasses are so thick I can go like this at a light bulb and it will refract, and I can see blue coming off of the LED lights, but not the old bulbs. So there's a tremendous amount of blue light ruining our circadian rhythm, and then causing havoc on our mind, body, and whatever. Just from these new LED lights, even though they save so much power. Plus, if you really wanted to, you could probably go outside somebody's house who has LED bulbs, which almost everybody does, and put a frequency up in the gigahertz, aim it at the house, and it would probably modulate the bulbs to flicker at that speed. And at those speeds, that's where there's causing major problems for people. Gigahertz is really bad, so they could probably create a light flicker that's up there, pretty high. I'm also an engineer, so electrical engineer. So I've had that on my mind, but I got a better story for you guys. This is a good one. This is kind of scary, and I never vented this out in the public yet. And I have a solution for it. I'm up here in Wisconsin. I think Keith here just a little lower down there. I won't say, but I know.
Middle of Iowa, middle of a cornfield. Come find me if you can.
Man, it really is that way too. Those cornfields are nuts. There's just so much. We drove through there recently. All right, so 2 weeks before we saw any smoke here in Wisconsin. When I mean by saw any smoke, I mean that you could actually see, oh, there's smoke. Like maybe if you paid attention 100 times over, you could see it. But I'm saying
today,
the smoke. 2 weeks before, I did a really good boxing workout. I felt fine, but then I did a really hard boxing workout. Just really, really hard. And it was at that time my body felt like I weighed like 800 pounds, and I felt like I was fighting in water, and it was a really ugly feeling. And I don't get that feeling very easily. It never happens. It's kind of like smoking a pack of cigarettes a day feeling, because I also did the Insanity program. If anybody has ever done that just the warm up that is unbelievable. And when I was affected by something else, I only felt it when I did that Insanity program. So what I'm trying to say by all this is that this smoke was here 2 weeks prior to when we could really see it. It was really starting to come in and we couldn't see it. And it was, I did several workouts, but at that time, I had a major effect on my body. And I know it was most probably from the smoke. And so here I am feeling like I'm 800 pounds. It's like, whoa, this is really bad. Something is really affecting me, like a pack of cigarettes a day or more. And then I saw it, I smelled something in the air, and then I saw online people reporting, oh, the air smells like plastic. Well, it did. It smelled kind of weird. And then I lost all my fear about talking about this with people. I said, you know what? There's something wrong. I can be by a campfire all day, all night in heavy smoke. It ain't going to bother me. And this ain't even heavy smoke. So I built an air machine basically to filter the air. And I started taking it really seriously to wear a respirator. And I don't know what it is, but I really don't think that there's more houses burning than trees in Canada right now. I think there's like barely any, and yet it smells like when I was a kid and I used to burn garbage like plastic.
How long do you
Sometimes,
suppose they've been dumping the chemtrails across all the lands around the world?
yeah, that too. And whatever
So
this stuff
burning
is,
them chemicals that have now been dropped on the soil and the plants and everything. And you see these
And
wildfires.
microplastic.
Right.
And
You see these
microplastics all
wildfires
over.
all around the world now.
all around the world. Now Greece is on fire really heavy duty, and it's just powerful, and it's so awkward. But I kind of have a theory that, maybe they're doing something else besides letting out smoke. And so I built an air machine, and basically I would suggest, I'm just going to limit this and say something for everybody really quick. I would suggest that something that can help majorly is take a towel and try to get it so that it's kind of like constantly getting barely wet by the shower head. So you're constantly getting a wet towel in a way. Maybe you take a hose or something like that.
Or even get a humidifier.
Well, yeah, but this
basically
is
what you want to do is you want to humidify the air so it drops and pulls those chemicals out of the air, right?
And well, that's more complex, because that one you could use zeolites. They have those at the dollar store. So you'd humidify the air. Yes, it would stick, all the toxin would stick to the walls and all that crap, but you could also use zeolites, blow a fan through those zeolites, which is in those dryers. They're like this big of boxes, and then it would start dropping the water out. Or you could humidify and then dehumidify. But right. Mine is even better yet, because a lot of people, we just run out of gas from doing something even after like 10 minutes. We're so busy. So this is what I have to say. I'm not going to say all the stuff that I was working on, but I would take a towel and have it so that you have like something dripping on it, like a shower head would maybe go through a hose, have it constantly wet. Then aim a fan right at that towel. So the fan is going to blast particles right at that towel, and it's going to get stuck in that, watery stuff. Okay. And then maybe you can plug the bathtub and see how dirty the water gets. Because let me tell you something else, guys. This is nuts. I built a HEPA filter, and 2 weeks before, I think it was 1 week before, I used my built HEPA filter. It's a piece of junk that I built, but it works better than one that I got like in the store. So I was like, whoa, that's strange. I built something better, and it's a piece of junk. I took a cardboard box, stuck it over a small fan, and put a HEPA filter over the top with another piece of cardboard that duct tapes down so I can change the HEPA filter. Well, guess what, guys? 1 week before I saw any smoke at all here, but I knew the smoke was there because of my body and the 800-pound feeling. My HEPA filters were staying white 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. Now, I had the window shut. Now, when the smoke came here heavy duty, the filters were still staying white. Now, get this. 3 days after the smoke was here heavy duty in Wisconsin, it was strange. My windows were shut all the time, all these days, before, after, during, all that. All of a sudden, 3 days after, my HEPA filters were turning black in 12 hours with the windows shut. Okay, I don't know what the heck is in this air here, but it smells weird, and it smells funny, and normally that's what they say happens when a clown farts. It smells funny, but
Well, that's why I say I think it's all that the chemicals they've been spraying for the numbers of years, decades. And these wildfires, it's actually absorbed into the plants and into the soil, and it's regenerating through those plants. And now when we have those fires, it's those chemicals that the plants are now picking up. Like she said earlier, it actually infuses that into their lifestyle, and they chemically change themselves.
And
it's altering life.
There's probably a good fact that it is that. And on top of that, I'm just worried that this is something a little different because, hey, nothing affects my body like this, and nothing affects HEPA filters where they turn black like that. And I hope you guys just take my advice, because it took me a month to come up with this idea of keeping a wet towel and aiming a fan at it. I know it sounds so simple, but guess what happened for me to get there? I built different ideas, and I'm sitting here working. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. here's something that I can build within 5 minutes. Here's something I can build right away. And, I started telling my friends, I was like, hey, we're talking about prayer to God. We're talking about believing in God. And after prayer to God, I've seen the impossible change and the world is changing. And, that's always the best of the best. And let me share something else with you guys that, here's something you can do within seconds. I mean, you could also aim your fan at an ongoing shower, but that would waste too much water and it wouldn't be as fun because you couldn't collect that much water in the bathtub to see how dirty it gets. It's more fun if you can just have a little drip, so little of a drip that you can't even see it drip off the towel barely. And then once in a while, you kind of wring it out in the bathtub, and you just see how black you can get that dirt. Because man, HEPA filters turning black and feeling like I'm weighing 800 pounds. Something is wrong, and the air smells like plastic. There's not many houses burning up there. There's something else going on. So I just share that for everyone. God is God, and I hope everybody can breathe well. Be careful, because the only time I could feel this is when I did that heavy duty workout. Otherwise, I do heavy workouts, lifting up bricks. I do landscaping. I don't feel it. But it was when I was doing that really, really, really heavy workout. So that's what I'm trying to say. Just be really careful with whatever the heck is in the air. Even today, it's so much better out here. I'm leaving the windows open and stuff, trying to get some ions in and stuff, but it's bad. Something's wrong here with this stuff. And try to use some air filtration. My HEPA filters aren't turning black anymore, but man, something's wrong with whatever it is. All the results. So there you go.
Yeah, and that's something else I wanted to mention. We talk about how these things started. There's a weather radar that shows the clouds springing up from the fires, and there was no storms around. And that the only way that can happen is if there's no storms around. Because if there are storms and a fire starts in the storm, the clouds won't show where the fire started. That particular radar, it's reason and logic. Those clouds started right along a line, and that is the exact same line as the fires, and they are the clouds from the fires and not any weather event. Period. That's
Also,
right.
it's a little suspicious that multiples, like dozens of them, started all at the same time. That's a little bizarre.
Along a very long line.
Yeah, and I lived in wildfire country, Washington State, Oregon, and we've lived for years with wildfire danger, and I've never seen it do like what it's been doing the last 5-6 years. Been the worst in all those areas.
Yeah, and normal
Crazy
wildfires. If we have a summer that's inclined for wildfires, they never form in a line. They've always been spotty. It has always been implicated by various different means of being started, whether it be an engine threw a spark or somebody threw a cigarette down or anything like that. And that's why they're spotty. That particular one here recently up in Canada, straight line. It's never occurred like that in nature. Never.
Right.
So it's man-made.
Not nature. Maybe not so much.
Well,
I'll tell you.
man may be a natural creature, but he's the one that extended that and made it look so perfectly lined up.
It's more important to block the sun and cool down the earth and kill the people than anything else or whatever. I don't know. I don't really care. I just hope that we all follow God. For everyone who is okay with that, I pray that, and that we all stick together. The meek shall inherit the earth or whatever. I don't know what else to say, but whenever we're with God, we defy, and we'll just keep on loving and praying and all that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's about the end of it for today, guys. We've been up 2 hours on this. I think that's good for
cut.
good information set. And Joel, if you want to talk about that machine afterwards,
yeah,
more.
I'll be here.
All right. Are you open to the other two on panel listening in?
I'm just on the what do you call that? The StreamYard sitting here. I don't know. I got my contact info up there. I don't know.
All right. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and shut this down, guys. One last reminder, go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe. There are some PayPal links that are going to be posted down in the details when I get done and I edit this. So if you feel like sharing some love, the Facebook FBU, excuse me, not the Facebook, but the PayPal FBU is for those that have PayPal accounts. It'll go straight through PayPal, use friends and family. And those that don't have a PayPal account can use the other one, the business account, but still send it friends and family. That way I don't have to make any disputes with PayPal. Everything is appreciated. God bless everybody. You know I love you, but I don't give a fuck whether you love me back. So have a good day.
Thank
and
you,
we'll see
Q.
everybody next time. Everybody on
Guys,
panel is
guys.
welcome today.
Thank you for letting us speak. Really. Thank you again.
You bet. Anytime. So for everybody else in chat and everything, everybody have a good day. And panel members, if you want to stay and hang around and talk with Joel about this air machine, I believe he's open to that. And we'll see you. Have a good day, everybody.
God bless.